haven't done a video in a dark car yet. This is new. I was just dropping off some packages at FedEx and I was struck by inspiration. I have been thinking about the convergence of... I just had a fresh thought. So I have passions around wellness and body, like helping people to be in their bodies, helping people to be at peak well-being. And I have a passion for transition, and it feels like I had this thought like, wow, it feels like they're in conflict. It feels like transition by its very nature has an uprooting, disorienting, upsetting, like not angry upsetting, but like literally upsetting quality to it. And it occurred to me, maybe I can do something with this to help people in the world. So context, somehow I managed to go through like a year and a half of insane transition, and I remember thinking during it, I mean, yes, I had some moments of body failure, like small things though, relatively. And I just kept thinking the whole way through, I can't believe how rock solid my body is. Like, I'm not getting sick. I'm not showing signs of stress-related illnesses or anything like that. Well, I have in fact gotten in 3 car accidents in the last year, and I am starting to have some major GI issues over the past like 4 months or so that have been emerging, and I have a history of that. I think they are representing based on the stress I'm experiencing, and so I have been infuriated. Part of why my current stepping into my new life that I've created has been challenging, and it's felt like I'm just so excited to be here. Like, I have worked so hard to get here and have longed to be in a life I've created that feels good and where I feel like I'm stewarding my life and I'm on purpose. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. And what's happening right now is I'm unbelievably frustrated that I'm spending so much of my time and energy right now on healing my body. So it's like a part-time job for me. I probably spend 10 or 15 hours a week just trying to deal with the impact and trauma on my body of 3 car accidents. And now I have this new gut issue that's happening that I won't go into the details on here, but it's really, it's just taking me a lot of extra time. Like I've tried various different diets. I'm eating really carefully, which eating carefully takes time. Eating mindfully takes a lot of extra time to think about what you're going to eat and prepare it and all that, blah, blah, blah. I am going a little bonkers over here because all I want to do is like build a coaching practice, launch my play coaching challenge, be co-leading more, doing workshops, like you name it. I don't know, learning to surf, anything else. I don't want to be here. And I'm trying to think of how can I create from it? How can I create from injury? How can I create from disruption? How can I create from a really upset gut? And it occurred to me, so here's where I'm getting to. In FedEx, I had this lightning bolt moment. What if my purpose in part is to coach people who are in transition and to help hold them, to help prepare their bodies to deal with transition. Like, transition is so the car accidents is kind of one thing, right? Like, I didn't create that. That got thrown onto my body. But all the stress that's gone into my system from my transition, I believe, is the primary cause of my gut health problems right now and the distress I'm experiencing there. And I just had this moment of aha, like, it seems inevitable that transition is going to create stress on the body. And I always want to be careful with people, especially as I think about coaching, to not rush people through transitions, like to have them be in the right timing, because I think the body and the body needs time to catch up. Like the mind can get there, the mind and spirit can get there pretty quickly, but the body is heavy energetically and it takes longer. And like, bottom line is, like, stress is stress. Even the good stress of, say, moving like I did. That was a huge, like, now that I'm here and in California and the weather's great, like, my energy is good. I love it here. I feel so at home and content. But man, I had to endure a lot of stress to get here. And I'm like, was that inevitable? Could I have done anything differently? I don't know. But what I'm noticing is that transition creates stress, good or bad, probably a healthy mix of both, a healthy, unhealthy mix of both. And so the question then becomes, if transition is inevitable because we can't stay where we are. Sometimes it's actually, I truly believe it was more stressful for me to actually stay in the life I was in than to transition to the new one. So I think no matter what, I was going to experience stress. What I'm curious about now is, if stress is inevitable, if transition is inevitable, if stress from transition is inevitable, then what could I do to help people going through transition to be as well as possible in their bodies? Like, what can people do proactively? And part of this was launched by this women's leadership program that I've been honored to be invited into. I am learning the content of this program and learning to co-lead it, this courses in this women's leadership model. And I was in this space of feeling all these women in transition today, and it just struck me like, wow, I can't be the only one who's feeling in my body the impact of transition. And man, I just feel like I'm so on fire right now. I feel like I could help do something about that. And it kind of reframes for me like how I can bring my passion and wisdom about body, being in body, to coaching and life transitions. So pretty jazzed about that. I'm seeing it newly, so I don't know where to from here, but it makes me feel like I'm on this kick right now about the obstacle is the way. Like, how can I create from the disruption? How can I create from the pain and the injury? And it's just like it's clicking for me. Like, I saw on Instagram the other day, there's this woman, she has a whole account dedicated to low FODMAP diets, just 25,000 followers. This woman like made a career, and she wrote like a book. She does all these workshops. I'm like, this woman made a career out of the fact that her gut failed, that she had huge gut health issues, and it just sparked, like, so I think all the threads are coming together for me. And it's interesting, I was on the way to FedEx and I was like, I don't want to go deal with returning these packages. Too bad, Caitlin, maybe you shouldn't have like ordered that stuff and whatever. And I was like, how can my trip to FedEx be generative? And so I was just kind of in this space of curiosity about and letting things bubble up from today. And that's what came through. So that's all I have to say about that. And yeah, wellness for transition. There's so much proactive stuff we can do. Man, after I got in that accident a week and a half ago, again, another accident, it was so different from the other ones. It was so different because I got on my phone immediately after the accident and I started texting and calling healers in my life. And I was like, what can I do? I am not accepting this impact on my body again. I am going to do everything in my power to bounce back and be resilient. And I can't change the fact that it happened, but man, I can be a committed partner to my healing. Whereas before I was just hit and I was sort of shocked in the first two, and particularly the first one, I was just like, oh, what do I do? The second one, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. And I don't know, I took like an Epsom salt bath or something that night. But this time around, I was like, I had my energy person, and he's reminding me of doing all the tapping to release the trauma and the tension. And then I had another person tell me, oh, make sure you take arnica. I'm like, I never even heard of that. Okay, great. I'm going to go take arnica to reduce inflammation in my body. I went straight to Pharmaca in Seattle, and I bought all this Epsom salt, magnesium spray, and all this healing stuff and slathered it on my body the few nights after the accident. As soon as I got home, I was taking an Epsom salt bath, went and saw an energy healer the next day to start releasing the energy, that negative energy out of my body. And I'm celebrating. I'm actually super proud of myself for how well I handled it. And I guess the point of me telling this story is that we can do more than we think that we can. So perhaps stress and impact in the body from transition is inevitable. And I also think that we can do a lot to manage it. And I certainly want to make it part of my practice as a coach to get my clients to think proactively about how they can move through transition. It is impossible to do it without there being a fair amount of mess and stress. And I want to encourage my clients to think about how they can do it in a way that leaves them as well as in their bodies and minds as possible. So that's happening. Yay.